Well, Tiz, it's about fucking time. We've been talking
It's about time.
for the past month about how bad like these UFC cards have been quality wise, like just by like the name value. And we've been waiting and waiting and teasing this very moment where we get to talk about UFC 280, and there's actually a shit ton to talk about. I'm really hyped about it. I mean, I texted you that morning and I told you that I think those prelims of this card were better than the past two or three main cards of UFC fight nights. Like even the like me and you like to say the prelim main event with Sean Brady and Bilal Muhammad, like that's
Yeah,
better than main events we've had lately.
I tweeted saying that I wish the UFC could, like, instead of making us, essentially, like, wait in all this anticipation for the next big pay-per-view, that they could just make, like, fight night cards as, like, meaningful and, like, consistently meaningful as the prelims were for this pay-per-view, instead of making us wait, like, a month in between. But
If the prelims were last week's card, main card,
that,
I would have been okay
yeah,
with
like,
that.
how hard?
You could have swapped it and we could have been cool because this main card of UFC 280 was so amazing.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, Sean Brady versus Bilal Muhammad, like, that's main event material for a fight night.
Yeah, instead we get the prelim main event on a fucking pay-per-view. It makes
Doesn't
no
yeah,
sense.
it doesn't make sense.
But I don't know. I feel like we could just get right into the fights because the fights themselves, like there's so much to talk about. There's so much that happened that's going to impact the future of the UFC. And starting with the main event, man, Islam Makhachev just really changed the trajectory of the lightweight division right there by submitting Charles Oliveira in round two. Our reel about that is going pretty crazy right now. Your boy got the prediction on the money. Dude, for like the main event, co-main, and the O'Malley fight, I got like pretty well. And you actually, I don't know if you know this, but you did beat me in the game that we played by like 5 points.
I was keeping track.
That
of
was
that.
fun. I think I screwed up a lot of my prelim picks, to be honest, but the main card I did really good, so I'm happy with that at least. But anyway, getting back into the fights, Makhachev, dude, like I kind of said, like in the preview of it, like the strength that he has is just way too much for most of the guys in that division. Like Charles Oliveira is not the strongest dude in the world. He's been rocked before, and obviously Islam dropped him in this fight, which even I wasn't expecting. And then just the top control was too much, and he finished him even earlier than I figured he was going to finish him. It's just like he couldn't move. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think?
It was an immediate tap. So, like, it's not like it's not, it's like it's that you were like 100% right with your prediction, in the sense that Islam didn't even really need to, like, apply any pressure. Like, Charles, like, kind of just, I guess, just cut his losses, and, like, he was just in a really bad position, and there's what's the point of, no, the potentially, like, passing out or something, like,
The fact that it was so quick too speaks to that strength.
Exactly.
Because, like,
yeah.
if it was that fast, like, he was right when he hopped over to the side. So that was pretty impressive to me. Like,
Charles, I'm very sure Charles' game plan was just to avoid, like, any sort of, just don't let Islam get any sort of guard on the ground, and then he has got a chance. But yeah, that was, man.
It seemed like in round
It's
one.
It's crazy how fast it happens.
That's true. I didn't think it was going to happen this fast. I figured this was going to be more drawn out, but it really wasn't.
Exactly. Only 2 rounds. And you can go all 2 rounds. So.
And that just shows how fucking good Islam is, man, because he exceeded even my expectations with this one. But, like, in round one, it seemed like Oliveira was, like, content to kind of, like, play guard with and, like, play off his back with him. And he was scrambling for submissions, but it was just not working. Like, I thought one thing that Islam did a great job of was getting him on the ground up against the cage where, like, his head was pinned against the fence and he was just stacking his legs down, so he couldn't really move his body whatsoever. And then he's just getting bombed on with ground and pound. And then it seemed like in round two he wasn't trying to go there again until, like, obviously it got there, and, it's all she wrote pretty much for Du Bronx, which is kills me to say, man.
That was all Islam. Like, his game plan was just, like, is dictated to a T. Like, he just executed on everything that he wanted. Like, that fight just completely went the way that he wanted it to. And I mean, Charles, man, like, dude, what a legend. Like, seriously, at this point, I mean, there's still obviously like Islam Makhachev, for instance. Like, I hope he gets back to the spot.
I
whether
think
or
he
not,
could.
yeah.
There's a path. There's definitely a path. I feel like one of them is about a fight like that we're going to talk about in a little bit, and I think you probably know what I'm thinking. But like, Oliveira, he's definitely not going to get like a title shot, obviously, right after this. But he's put himself in a good position. The fans love him. I mean, obviously, I've been a huge fan of Oliveira for a while now, and it kills me to think that, like, I've been talking up his era for such a long time, and now it's pretty much, it's not counting him out for the future, but the first championship reign of Charles Oliveira has come and went. Like, that's crazy to me. So, I don't know, man. It was tough to pick against Charles, but like I said, the strength that I've heard about from everybody who's fought him, it is just what did the difference for me. And obviously, that's what ended up happening in the fight. And then, as if this win couldn't be any bigger for that division, you got Alex Volkanovski in the crowd, and Islam's like, bring in the short guy, which I thought was hilarious. But, yeah, I mean, Volkanovski is going to be going, I would imagine, like, it's not obviously confirmed, but I definitely think that's the direction that the UFC is going to go with it. Volkanovski's just cleaned out 145. The contenders in that division, besides like Josh Emmett and Calvin Kattar, don't like fighting. Yair thinks he deserves a title shot for Brian Ortega's injury. Then you got like Josh Emmett has earned it, but I feel like his like status as number one contender still isn't as cemented as it should be. I don't know. I feel like for 145, you could still go with what we've talked about like a while back, like with Yair and Emmett for an interim title. Because I think Volk is definitely going to be fighting Islam. Yep. But off the top of your head, what do you think of that fight?
I'm very excited. I mean, I've seen quite a bit. Like, it's, I'll say, like, 50-50. Like, people that are really looking forward to it, and people that are like, Islam's going to ragdoll Volk, like, however he wants. I guess in the sense that, just because of the size difference and, like, Islam, this is obviously his natural division, and Volk is having to come up. But
see, Volk's had fights though.
Yeah,
up there.
and then for me, it's like this dude Alexander Volkanovski was literally going a step in if he had to for this fight. So like, in a way, he's already ready to fight either like Islam. He's already ready to fight Islam in a way. But obviously, now like obviously that would be short notice. Now he gets a full proper camp to train for this fight, and gonna be his biggest one yet. Like him stepping in as the challenger now, like you gotta take that into account too. Like when's the last time we saw Volk as a challenger?
Well,
for the
UFC 245, which is like 2019 at this point. It's been like almost 3 years.
Insane. So,
it was the first Colby Usman fight for anybody who needs like a real.
Oh my god!
And that was also when Petr Yan beat Uriah Faber to earn his title shot, which is another crazy. Like that was a great card, UFC 245. I mean, the main event of that one was fantastic too. I always remember that.
Yeah, dude. So it's like I always love these fights, these opportunities for champions to become double champs. So
and Volk's earned it. Yeah, man. Dude, like we've been preaching the
number one pound for pound, like not just the featherweight division anymore, like pound for pound.
And me and you have been saying that for a while.
Yeah,
like before Usman lost his belt too. So like
now that's not saying like like could this fight be like completely one sided? Like yeah, of course it can, but I don't think it's gonna come off as if, even if Volk gets dominated, I don't think it'll come off as like he shouldn't have been in there at all. Because I think people are gonna spin it like that, like, oh, this fight should have never even happened, like it's just a waste of, I guess Islam's time, or vice versa, whatever you want to say. But like what it's like, I think
it's a no-brainer. I mean,
it is, because what else? It's the biggest fight to make.
It's right more now, just because Volkanovski doesn't really have like that fight right now at 145 that people want to see. So it's like, and by the way, like,
and you just said he's fought up there before.
Yeah, his only loss is at 170. So just keep that in mind. And like his opponent was 5'10" and Alex is 5'6". So And he's had like fights like way, and you know, he also, I remember in rugby too, he was like 214 pounds, so he's a little fucking tank, that guy. And I think he'll definitely do what he needs, like on the strength and conditioning standpoint. But with this fight, like I agree with you, like I think it has the potential to be one-sided, but I just really don't feel like it would be. Because Islam, yes, has like really incredible grappling, and he's got pretty good striking too, obviously, but Volkanovski has elite striking, and I really just have a lot of faith in his fight IQ too. I feel like his takedown defense is elite, and you know, who knows, that might mean nothing against Islam, because you got to think about it, that's what people were saying for Khabib for such a long time. Yeah. But I don't know, it's a tough fight, because Volk's fight IQ could definitely give him some rounds in this fight, but I just don't know. And apparently, you know, like they're looking to do it in Perth in like February, which, hey man, that's crazy for Islam. And you know, I feel like that was more Khabib's idea there than Islam, because Khabib just hijacked the microphone. He's like, yeah, we want Volk in Perth. And he's like, I love it, because Khabib, like, he's humble, but he promotes for Islam so much, because Islam is like the same way. He doesn't want to talk like that much shit, and you see even when he does, like, it's kind of like he's not trying to be disrespectful. But it is just so funny because I this is great. Like, I think this is great for the sport. Like you said, you know, double champ fights are always awesome in MMA, no matter who's in them. And yeah, and just the fact that me and you were debating who's going to win this fight, and considering that, you know, I've said in the past, I don't know how I can ever pick against Volk.
I think it's going to be closer than people are giving Volk credit for.
Yeah, and hey, I mean, to be fair, I think some people are thinking that Volk could do some, you know, damage in this fight. I mean, he's number one pound for pound for a reason. And to what if discount the number one, like that, you got to think about what pound for pound means too.
Yeah.
Like, if he's really is number one pound for pound, this is the fight that's going to prove it.
And would have stepped in for this past main event if he had to.
Yeah. So, I thought that was pretty cool too.
It's the fight that should happen. It's going to happen. And yeah, like, it's gonna be. I just think it's gonna be closer than people are giving it credit for.
Yeah, man. The lightweight division, it's gonna be thriving for quite a while now. I think this was really good for the sport that Islam has become champion. Not that it wasn't good with Oliveira as champion, because Oliveira, all he did was provide fun fights. But Islam's story, like the whole Khabib arc and everything, you know, father's plan and all that, you know, I think MMA fans are really starting to get on board with it. But that I loved it. Like, that was the perfect, like, capper to this card. And, you know, there's so much more action to get into, and there's a whole nother title fight. Yeah. Aljamain Sterling obviously TKO'd TJ Dillashaw in round 2. And, you know, I think we could definitely get into the fight. But the first thing I kind of wanted to get your opinion on, because as I was watching it, I kind of had a harsh reaction, and then I figured maybe it was harsh. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, not really. So TJ Dillashaw obviously had that shoulder injury coming into the fight, and apparently he had told I think it was Mark Goddard was refereeing before the fight that was like an issue that could appear. Now, like, I'm not saying that he's like trying to make an excuse, but what he's doing, it is like a built-in excuse, and it's almost ironic for somebody who was saying about Sterling. You know, because he was saying, oh, well, you know, he thinks I'm on PEDs. He's coming in with a built-in excuse. It's kind of what he did. Like, all of a sudden after the fight, like, yeah, well, my shoulder's been hurt for the past 6 months. Like, that's just, I don't know. Like, he gave Aljo the credit, but I just think that's a little unfair on TJ to do that. Because it makes Aljo, like, you know, it's not out of Aljo's control, and it just diminishes the win. Even though he's not trying to do that, I really don't believe he's trying to do that. But I don't know.
You feel like I feel like he is trying to do it. I think.
Well, I think it's
not. It's more in this. I think it's more in the sense that, like, you know, not to say that he would have won, like, straight up if, you know, the fight went the distance, but I think he's saying, like, you know, it would not have been like the one side, like,
that's kind of
like that.
I kind of agree with that. Like, my whole thing is, like, I don't think that him saying that was like a shot at, like, Aljo specifically.
Well, yeah, I think there's not even a point in doing that. Like, the fight already happened, you know.
So, well, for me, it's just kind of like, it's just kind of shitty to do, because it puts Aljo in a dumb position, which, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he was trying to do that. But I think that he was trying to kind of lighten the loss a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, it's a real injury. Like, it's not that he faked it. Like, obviously it was real. We all saw it. And, you know, they were talking about it. He said he's had it since April. And I agree with, you know, for once I kind of agree with Dana White in the post-fight thing. Like, you know, he shouldn't have fought, like, if that was the case. Like, I get that you didn't want to wait, but I just don't like coming into the fight knowing that that's the case and then just ready to use it as, like, an excuse after. And, you know, I don't know, because I don't want to disrespect him too much, but TJ Dillashaw, man, like, you know, obviously he's had his whole past with USADA and, you know, the EPO shit. It's just, I don't know, it's not a good look for me. I just didn't like that. And I feel like you agree with me.
Yeah.
Seems like.
Yeah.
But
I know what I mean, because like I'm catching what you're saying in the sense like I think you're trying to say that, you know, it's putting Aljo in the spot that, like, you know, he's still just not, like, getting the, you know, proper credit and respect the champion should get.
One thing to note,
especially a champion with multiple title defenses now
at this point.
Yeah, so
but, like, the thing to note too is, like, TJ's ass was already on its way to the ground when his shoulder popped out. It wasn't like his shoulder popped out like when he was defending it. He was already almost on his back, like, at that point. So it's like that takedown was happening no matter what.
You already know, like, too, like, even if Aljo still won, but, you know, he didn't, the fight doesn't end in the finish, then people are saying, like, you know, TJ just blew his shoulder out in the first round and Aljo couldn't even finish him.
I was waiting for that too because at the beginning of round 2 he wasn't really doing much with the top control, and I'm like, oh god, I'm like, if he makes this go all 5, he's gonna get fucking killed for this.
Exactly.
But he did great, man. You know what I mean? His back control is elite. His jiu-jitsu is incredible. And that's another one, I guess I got it on the money, dude.
Like, dude, after the Jan fight, it should have just been like, okay, he's not, like, Aljamain Sterling is not a paper champion.
Yeah.
Like, at least anymore. Like,
I didn't get the sense, though, honestly, that people were saying that. Besides TJ, honestly.
Yeah.
You know? But it seemed like the fans were, like, kind of getting into this one, kind of how we were. So I'm glad to see that Aljo's getting some of the love back.
Yeah. That's what we want to see.
Yeah. And I think getting a win over someone like TJ is good, too, because a lot of people don't like TJ Dillashaw. I'm kind of being a little harsh on him, but I do like TJ Dillashaw. I think he's fun. He's cool. He makes the division interesting. So I'm not hating completely on him, but I think a lot of people do hate TJ due to the EPO stuff, and I definitely don't blame them for that. And Aljamain Sterling, though, it's just his wrestling, you know. And I guess it's so funny that TJ just diminished all that. Like, yeah, he's a pretty good wrestler, but he's not as good as me. Well, you know, I get that TJ had the injury, but still, he made that look pretty easy. And the back takes that he had throughout the fight were fantastic, and his back control is just elite. He's a human backpack. Wow,
he's that is like ever since that first Jan fight. Like, oh my goodness, like the improvement. I don't even want to say improvement. Just like how, like, flawless Aljamain Sterling's grappling looks these days is like, holy crap, like, you know, just like truly, like, this guy can hang with anybody in this division.
Yeah, and you start to believe him when he talks about the first Jan fight and saying how nervous he was coming in and how he didn't eat right, and that's why he came out all chaotic because he didn't know how long he was going to have. Like, you know, everybody was saying he's bullshitting, but, you know, looking back, you know, you got the second Jan fight now, and now you have this fight. I think he's telling the truth. Like, I think it was just a bad night. Like, you hear it, like, even Oliveira said it in the main event. Sometimes it's just not your night.
Yeah.
And that might have been it for Aljo, and it seems like he's starting to come into his own as champion. You know, it seems like he keeps getting these stupid little asterisks by every single one of his wins. I really hope he gets a legitimate one. It's like, you know, not that this one's not legitimate, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I just hate that TJ had to say that because it takes away from it, even if he's not trying to. So, I don't know. I thought that was a bad move. But Sterling, man, you know, he's the champ. That's 2 title defenses now, which is crazy to think about because, and I was watching it with Sean, obviously, and he kind of brought that up like midway through, and I'm like, yeah, it's a really like solid point. Like, he's, you know, kind of in his reign at this point. Like, it's not fresh really anymore, and that's kind of cool.
Yep.
Because Aljo's a good champion, no matter what the UFC kind of tries to pull with him. But his next opponent might have come out of the fight before that. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen.
I think it's, like, poetic in a way, because obviously he wasn't meant to, like, supposed to become champion the way he became champion. And now that he is champion, like, has multiple title defenses now, and is still a champion, like...
He's proven his mettle.
Exactly.
I think that's
now
fair.
It's like, we're getting like you can put all kinds of like dream fights for him now. I feel like.
Well, obviously judging by my sweatshirt and my hat,
yeah,
my dream fight and the fight that I'm gonna lobby for. Well, not really. I honestly, I'll get to it after. I'll kind of like save it, but obviously Sean O'Malley defeated Petr Yan by split decision, much to this fucking chagrin of all MMA fans. Clearly, when I was watching it, like I understood, like thinking that like Yan could win the fight. I honestly figured he might, even though I personally didn't score it for him. I saw honestly, the case.
I'm gonna let you, because I know what this is leading to right now, and it's the just the whole like how loosely the word robbery is used amongst MMA, and I'm gonna let you take that by the horns, because it's like it's like, how do you watch especially that first round and not just be like, oh yeah, like Yan clearly won
I just don't get it. I'm like, what fight are they watching? Like, because like he got the one really good takedown against Sugar Sean, and he had like probably under a minute of control time. Like that's thing that
me
Sean
personally
proved.
like I scored the 10-9 for Yan because of that takedown.
Yeah, like that's fair, but like to say that it's like.
And it's not even like it's not even like he had O'Malley on the ground for like the entire, like O'Malley got back to his feet like relatively quick. Go ahead.
Obviously, and I think that was pretty cool of him too, like to prove that he was able to do that, because a lot of people are they like to shit on Sean O'Malley, but round one, I'm pulling it up right now on UFC stats. Petr Yan did outland him. So that's actually something to note. But Sean did land more significant strikes on Petr.
And that's essentially what like broke away for the judges, I think, to give O'Malley the win. Especially seeing that cut on Petr Yan's eye.
Yeah, that was in round 3. In round 3, it wasn't even close. Yeah. I'll tell you the stats for round. Here, I'll go round by round just to, because I feel like with this fight, like we really got into this. I kind of want to tell everybody like what the factors are here in the decision. So round 1, that's the round that I think most sane people would agree is the round that this fight came down to. Because even Dana said that. Like Dana said after the fight, and I agree with it. He's like, I think it comes down to how you scored round 1. But significant strikes, O'Malley outlanded Yan 23-19. Total strikes, Yan outlanded O'Malley 28-23, which is kind of interesting to me, because that means every strike that O'Malley landed was a significant one, which is kind of wild. Petr Yan was 1 for 3 on the takedowns with 1 minute and 10 seconds of control time, and O'Malley obviously shot in for the one takedown at the end of the round. Almost got it too. I don't know, he didn't get it, but he almost got it. So that's worth noting. So then you take that. That's statistics. So you take that as you will. You obviously factored in the control time in that heavy takedown. I get it. For me, I think the significant strikes matter, and I think he rocked Petr in the one point in the round.
And that's essentially what gave O'Malley the edge. So it's like, you can't, like, there's clearly, like, blatant, like, decision stuff the judges make, and it's like, that's just not even close to what, we're all watching the same fight at the end of the day. Like, we can be, like, objective about this and, like, just simply score it the way it's supposed to be scored. But it's just, like Dana White himself said it best, like, it's all about how you score that first round. Yeah, and it's like, dude, it makes me like, oh my god,
it's so one-sided. Like,
imagine a round 4 and 5 of this fight.
Yeah, I don't know. That would have been interesting, to be honest. Maybe we'll get a 5-round rematch this someday. Dude. But round 2, like, for Yan, he only outlanded Sean by 3 for significant strikes, but the total strikes, he was way above him. 3 for 3 for takedowns, 2:42 of control time, 2 minutes 42 seconds, obviously. And that one clearly is a Yan round.
Such a close fight. And it's like, why would people get so hung up on, like, probably like people that have money on Petr Yan or something, like, get so hung up on, oh my, like, what a terrible decision, like, robbery on Yan. Like, how do you just be like, wow, like, that was such a close fight, like, Sean O'Malley, like, good for him, like, he clearly, like, did enough what he had to do to get the edge, and,
And you look at round 3, dude, he destroyed him in round 3, and so significant strikes, he landed more than double, 40-15. And then total strikes, he almost doubled it, 46-24. And Jan did have a little bit of control time, but obviously in that round 3, they both rocked each other like 3 times. And I think that's another thing that O'Malley proved. A lot of people have questioned Sean O'Malley's toughness, and I think he's proved it in this fight that he's a tough dude. He's got a chin, and he proved that he's got a ground game. I've been saying that for a while. Ever since I saw him snatch up that guillotine in Quintet Ultra against Takanori Gomi, I've been preaching that O'Malley is not a bum on the ground. And in this fight, he proved it because, he was scrambling well, like for submissions. He was, putting his legs up, going for arm bars, and he was able to get up from the takedowns a lot of the times, which was really impressive because Petr Yan's a damn good grappler. Like, we were talking about his striking, but we did mention his grappling, and obviously it did play a factor in this fight. He shot 13 takedowns, landed 6 of them, so a little under 50%. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, this was such a close fight. And then, you look at the total statistics, too. Significant strikes, Sean outlanded Piotr 84-58, but then total strikes, Piotr outlanded Sean 97-91. So it's like there's so many like numbers you could like switch it between. But then, obviously you touched on it with the robbery talk. I just don't get, like, people got to rewatch George St. Pierre versus Johnny Hendricks to see what a robbery looks like. Because I don't think you can ever use the term robbery if you can make a case for the other guy winning. Like, with GSP versus Johnny Hendricks, you can't make a case that GSP won the fight. You could maybe say 3-2 if you're lucky with that for Johnny Hendricks. And a lot of people had it 4-1 Johnny Hendricks, and then GSP won the fight. Like that's crazy. That's a robbery. This is a close fight. Close fights are not robberies. Like, I can't stress that enough. Because this is as razor close as it gets. And I think some of it, too, has to do with the fact that it's Sean O'Malley. And, I've always said it. He doesn't get credit because people hate him. At least I'm glad to see that people are, even the ones who are saying robbery, they're saying that he proved his worth in this one. I think he definitely did. But I don't know. There's just, to move on, like, kind of from that, because I feel like we've exhausted, like, the robbery subject, unless you want to add something more to it. But it seems like that's really all there is with it. But the bantamweight division is stacked. We've always said it, whether people like it or not. O'Malley won this fight and is now he's the number 1 contender. And
holy crap.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. But there's so many fights that could happen. There's the Cheeto rematch that could possibly happen. Then there's the fight that I personally want to see it's a title eliminator. Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen. That's the fight that I need to see, because that would just be a striking exhibition for both guys. I'd love to see the movement in there, all the footwork, the feints. Just, God, that'd be such a fun fight. I'm all for, like, those chess matches on the feet, and I think that's what that would be.
Especially with how much Sean O'Malley switches stance, too.
And Corey.
And Corey.
And they both have, like, they have similar styles, but they're different. Like, Corey Sandhagen, I don't know, like, O'Malley kind of has more of, like, a fluid style to it, and, like, then again, because, like, Corey does too, but I just can't explain it, because Corey kind of, like, has more, like, structured shots lately. Like, it seemed like in the Song Yadong fight, he was doing, like, less of the spinning shit, trying to really just dial in and land, like, good boxing combinations, which I think is smart, by the way, because that spinning shit has lost him big fights. But O'Malley, like, he almost fights kind of how Corey Sandhagen used to fight. And, like, Corey still kind of fights like that, but it's definitely a safer version. But the thing with Sean that I
calculated.
Said... Who, Corey or Sean?
Corey.
That makes sense, yeah. Well, Sean, I don't know, because Sean's pretty calculated, because he has, like, really good feints. He didn't use them very well in this fight. Usually he uses feints a lot better,
for Sandhagen compared to,
That's fair. Yeah. I like that actually. I just thought of that actually. The one thing I just said with the feints. O'Malley didn't really use too many of them in this fight with Jan, which I didn't like to see. You need to keep up with that because that's a big part of his game. And I don't know. I just think a matchup between him and Sandhagen would just be so exciting. And O'Malley, I think, has the edge with speed and power. And
I think this fight for Sean O'Malley, like, just proved, like, how, like, I think he's, like, ultra confident in his grappling ability now. Like,
yeah, he didn't seem ultra confident that he won the fight. I don't know, with the post-fight interview, man. they were like, "Did you think you did enough?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know." He's like, "I'm gonna have to rewatch that." Like, I figured he was gonna get all cocky and call out Aljo. Even he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch that one." But like I said, I think
even
it's
he knows how close it was.
I love the respect too, before and after. Besides the horror comment from Piotr Jan, which was pretty funny, but Sugar Sean and him obviously shook hands after the fight. It seemed like respect earned. That's really what that was, and I love it. That was a huge fight for O'Malley. That's a star-making type performance. He's literally put himself in the top 3 of that division. And there's just so many big fights for him now. And you can even argue he deserves a title shot. That's crazy. He beat the number 1 contender on paper. But like I said, I think he's still one fight away. I want to see one more. I want to see him in a 25-minute fight, honestly. I like him in the pay-per-views, but I kind of want to make sure that he's going to be able to go 5. You know what I mean? Because we've seen, some disasters in title fights because guys can't go all 5. I think he'd be able to, but I just want to see it. But anyway, that was a star-making type performance by O'Malley. But another great performance, almost like a reminder of just who this guy is. And this is his 8th straight win, I think. Beneil Dariush versus Matus Gamrot. Mm-hmm. And Beneil, man, he's just so, we kind of touched on this too. He's so good at just drawing these great fighters into slugfests. And he's born for those slugfests because he's so tough and his boxing is just incredible. He has so much power in his hands. He dropped Gamrot with that one. That was pretty nasty. I think that's fantastic. And it sucks though because he's kind of left in this state of limbo because Volk is going to get the shot. We know he's going to get the shot. And I do kind of want to double check, but I do think Dariush has won 8 straight fights, which is wild. But I do think that there is a fight for him, and I kind of want to see if you agree with me. But I think him versus Charles Oliveira would be an interesting fight. Just from just thinking about the grappling, not even the war that would probably take place on the feet, but the grappling exchanges in that fight. Because I think Beneil Dariush could hang with
I don't
Oliveira.
think there would be a dull moment in that fight at all. I think it'd just be straight action the entire way.
And he has won 8 straight, by the way. 8 straight. He hasn't lost since.
Yeah, that's like a
March 2018.
That's like Oliveira type stuff. Like what Oliveira was doing when he was still fighting on the prelims and stuff.
Yeah, he's got the skills, man. Dariush could compete with Islam today, and if Volk wasn't clearly getting the title shot, I'd be vouching for Beneil in this one. I just don't think it's gonna happen. So that's why I just don't see a point in doing that, and you gotta stick with reality sometimes, even if you think
I'm rooting for Beneil Dariush.
Same here.
He's always he always feels so close.
Yeah,
and
injuries, dumb things have kind of held him back, it seems like. And in this one, I'm not as mad about this one because it sucks because he kind of got screwed out of a title shot because he was gonna fight Islam Makhachev, if you remember, and then he got hurt, and then all of a sudden Islam's fighting for the title now. I don't know. It's not fair, but
this is a great test for Matus Gamrot too.
Yeah, to see how he comes back from something like that. I'm kind of curious too. Was that his first loss? Or it might have been his second. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was his second career loss.
It's cool to see that the Sarukian fight, that was that card there was clearly UFC they wanted to put real purpose into that card and making that the main event. We're gonna showcase 2 of the best up and coming lightweights in the division right now, and then the Matus Gamrot he gets the dub, and now you push him into that upper echelon of the division, and he didn't get the win, but he's still that was a good showing. I'm excited for him. I think he's.
It's just Beneil's such a tough matchup. You can't ever count that against.
No one ever really even wants to fight Beneil Dariush, anyways.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the notoriety, but he's the toughest fight.
Exactly. I feel bad for those guys. It's they know they can beat anybody, but nobody wants to fight them because they know that they can easily be beaten by him. And like you just said, he doesn't have the name value. He doesn't have a championship.
Well, yeah, because you even think about Gamrot now, because where does Gamrot go from here? It's kind of hard to tell, because he's still kind of in the middle of the lightweight rankings. So you can't really say.
I hope he's sticking around, like.
I don't know, maybe Fiziev or I don't know.
Fiziev.
It's just like nobody else. There's really nobody else I could see him fighting. It is what it is. I mean, unless you're gonna go down in the rankings, which, Jalen Turner's on the rise. I think he could. He's somebody who deserves a shot at a top 10 opponent at this point. I just don't know, man. It's a tough spot to be in because now Beneil is, he's number 6. He's probably gonna go up by a tiny bit after this because the only guys ahead of him are Chandler. Well, Islam is obviously not number 4 anymore. That's kind of funny. But, I guess the rankings update tomorrow. Well,
Beneil
today, technically, because people are going to be watching it on Tuesday.
Beneil Dariush needs that title shot.
It'll happen at some point. I think he's going to have one more fight, and that'll happen probably while the Volk stuff is going on. And one way or another, I think he'll get the next shot. Hopefully, I think he's earned it because his boxing looked incredible in that last fight. His takedown defense, actually, I wanted to mention that. I just saw that in my notes.
He's so well-rounded. It's crazy.
Because Gamrot, dude, he was trying after he was getting lit up to take him down. It was not working, dude. But just a great performance by Dariush. It was like a lot of just incredible one-sided performances in this fight card. And the next fight that we're going to talk about was kind of like that too. Minan Fiorot versus Caitlin Chookagian. I wasn't looking too forward to this coming in. Me and Sean were saying this is like the beer break type fight. And we don't hate on women's MMA. Anybody who watches us knows that. This isn't because it's a women's fight. It's just because of the style matchup. Chookagian is the type of fighter who's going to, circle and pick people apart. And that's exactly how Minan Fiorot fights. Yeah. And that's exactly how the fight kind of went. So we were kind of correct in our prediction about that one just being a decent, okay type of fight. It wasn't the worst fight I've ever seen, that's for sure. Fiorot looked really good, though. I mean, her jab looked really good. She picked Chookagian apart, which is kind of crazy considering that's what Chookagian does to everybody else.
This card, I think, because the decision for this one was Minan Fiorot by unanimous decision. I thought we were going to see a split decision.
It was close, but Fiorot, I don't know. I thought Fiorot kind of it was close, but Fiorot seemed like she was kind of in the lead the whole fight.
I think this card indicated how much damage is how important damage is to these judges nowadays.
And it should matter.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to see. We want to see action. We want to see shots being landed, all of it. So they get in that sense, and that's why you saw Sean O'Malley.
Sean O'Malley barely had a scratch on him, and Piotr Jan's covered in blood. If you let's say put it like this: if you're at a bar and you see two dudes fresh after a fight, and one of them is all cut up and bloody, and the other one isn't, who are you gonna think won the fight? I don't want to get back into the O'Malley robbery thing, but it's just going to this one. I think you're right, though. The damage seemed to be the big thing in this one.
Yep, and that's what got Fiorot the win too. A unanimous decision victory too. That matters. So.
Do you think this gets her a title shot?
No, I don't think so.
Now, are you saying you don't think she'll get one, or you don't think she deserves one?
I don't want to say she doesn't deserve it, but
yeah. Well, I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean. Sometimes you with O'Malley, I think he should probably get a fight in between.
I would want to say I don't necessarily think she's ready yet.
Maybe her versus Grasso title.
Yeah. You just had Alexa Grasso come off a victory too.
Let's get Santos to rematch Valentina. We can have that as a pay-per-view headliner, and that could be a co-main, way to build up the women's flyweight division.
Exactly,
do something like that.
It's really when you really do put it on the surface and look at the landscape of the UFC for what it is. It's really not that hard to make the fights that should be made, and not come off as you're the matchmakers are forcing something or pushing somebody into this spot that they're not really ready for yet.
That was how I felt when Miesha Tate fought Lauren Murphy at Flyweight. I was like, what are they doing? I was like, that is a horrible matchup, and that went just as bad for Miesha as I figured it might.
Dude. Sometimes it's like because the matchmakers are really good at what they do, but sometimes they do try. It comes off they're trying a little too hard, and then.
Yeah, I think Khamzat and Diaz was a little forced.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Exactly.
I'll tell you one thing though, good matchmaking, and we kind of hit on this fight a little bit before we even got into the card. But Belal Muhammad and Sean Brady, man, Belal Muhammad has proven himself more and more every fight. Like I just hate that I keep kind of picking against him because he just keeps proving me wrong. Guy's insane, man. His boxing in this fight looked better than I think I've ever seen it in his whole career.
Whatever Habib is feeding these guys. I need some of it.
Brother. Who knows, man?
Oh my goodness. That was I don't know. I don't necessarily
actually.
Yeah.
Do you get that one? I hope you get that one.
I heard you said tiramisu. I know what that is.
Tiramisu. Oh, dude, you don't even. Oh my God, Tony Ferguson, because he missed, or I don't know if he missed weight or he. It was one of the Tony fights.
I remember. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He was eating too much tiramisu. As Tony would say, he was eating too much tiramisu on Tuesday, and he was not able to make the weight, and he had to pull out of the fight. So that was one of the many times that Habib versus Tony was canceled. But anyway, back to this. Maybe Belal had some tiramisu this camp to give him some extra strength.
Yeah, right? Oh my goodness.
Or maybe some of Paulo Costa's
this
secret
might
juice.
have been this had to have been the best I've seen Belal Muhammad. And he didn't even win the first round either. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was close.
I scored it Brady, but Belal still looked really sharp in there, striking at least, striking wise. And that's not necessarily, You say the name Belal Muhammad, and then to the MMA fan, they'll tell you probably your average point fighter, guy who's not really looking for that kill shot, and he's just gonna tag you.
People don't like Belal.
Yeah,
man.
he's gonna tag you a little bit. He's gonna try to get you to the ground and all of that, and he's gonna win by a decision. But this dude, Belal is here.
Yeah, no, he's definitely
here.
I mean, he was here already, but now he's really in title contention.
Dude,
at this point.
because we were even me and you were there was a little doubt coming from us in this fight. Sean Brady, this is a good matchup for him.
It's his first loss. Belal Muhammad handed him his first loss.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I don't know if you
first loss by TKO.
I feel like you might want to know this. The Jets are acquiring Jaguars running back James Robinson. And the Jets are sending the Jags a 6th round that could become a 5th round.
That's a good trade.
Just figured I saw that pop up. I figured you'd want to know.
Yeah,
Tiz is a big Jets fan for anybody who doesn't know that.
Just lost the stud rookie running back for the season.
That was the move to make. And Jags could do that too. They have guys to replace him with.
Dude, the Jets are going for it this year.
How are they 5-2, man?
Oh my God.
The Jets being good is basically how I feel about Bilal's title contention right now. How are we in this position?
Oh my God.
How did we get here? This
how
is pretty
did we
crazy.
Get here?
Because now the next fight, we're talking about is either Belal versus Colby or Belal versus Khamzat, and I think after that you could say he deserves a title shot if he wins. And I want to pick against him for those fights, but I don't know if I can.
Belal versus Khamzat, I think is the fight to make.
I think so too. I don't want to see Colby versus Khamzat right now.
Me no, yeah. I don't necessarily want to see Colby versus Belal either. Even though I think it's
a good fight.
I don't really
win it.
I think it's good, but I think Colby just if it's on the feet, I guess. So I suppose it could be anyone's fight, but if it's going to Colby's just I think it's more of a strength thing again. I think kind of like Islam
and skill.
Yeah,
Colby's wrestling is as legit as it gets.
It's something arguably the best in the world. So. Yeah, but oh my goodness, Belal, dude.
I think that Belal versus Khamzat is the way to go because they've kind of had beef in the past, and I don't know. I think it's a good fight because it's a good test
for
too
Belal,
for
man. Yeah, this is a guy who's always been down to fight, just whoever he's got to take out to get to the top. He's about it, and I respect nothing more than that. So I'm happy for him. He's got to have all the attention now. If you weren't a believer before, this guy is He's legitimate at the welterweight division.
Remember the name, dude.
Oh my god.
Bully B 170. Isn't that crazy how that's like that's like kind of for anybody who like doesn't know this, you know, people who know us definitely
started out
know.
as a meme.
Yeah, so we would watch like the UFC fight nights and stuff like every weekend, and they'd put the tweets on the screen like they do every week. And the one that we would always see, and then mind you, this is way before like Belal got into the top 15.
Yeah.
And he's just like tweeting random shit like for every fight, just either trolling or just saying funny shit. And like we would always just make jokes about it, like, damn, you know, Bilal's fucking tweeting all the time. Like he's got to fight more than he tweets.
Well, like,
and now, hey man, he's done it.
Exactly. Now that like hindsight's 2020, it's like this is a marketing tactic by Belal. That it
smart.
Worked. Yeah, like it worked.
He's a funny guy.
Exactly.
He's a little corny sometimes, but he's funny.
Look where he is now.
Yeah, you know what I actually like? You know, this is a little free shout out to anybody who likes little game shows. He has like a fun show on John Anik's channel. It's called like Remember the Show, and it's like an MMA like game show, and it's kind of cool. I enjoy it. He's a funny guy. I do like enjoy his content.
Yeah.
I think he's good for the sport.
He is.
And
he wants to see it grow just as much as he wants his career to grow.
Hey man, his career can't really grow much more than this. It seems like he's right at the top right now.
He's right at the top.
We're getting there. We're going to see what happens. I want to see him versus Hamza. It seems like you kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm also curious to see how Sean Brady rebounds from this. It seems like he's taking it well and on the chin. So
good. I would hope so.
He seems like that type of dude.
He definitely knows like he can get back to this league. He's still one of like the best welterweights in the world. So
yeah, it's one loss, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can't let it destroy you. I think he'll be back better than ever personally. But another guy that I'm a big fan of that I think is on the come up. This is at 185 though, I think, not 170. Caio Borralho, I hope I'm saying that. It's Borralho. I think it's how you say Borralho. God damn, I don't even know. But I'm just going to call him Cal.
Cal.
So, him, dude, he I think he's one of the most well-rounded prospects that we've seen lately at 185. I mean, his jiu-jitsu is fantastic. His top control is like Aljo-esque, in my opinion. And obviously he's a lot bigger. But he's just really incredible. Did you get to see his fight or no?
I saw a bit. I didn't see. I got to saw a few highlights and stuff.
Yeah, it was. I'll be honest. Like I was a little.
I know how the
in and
fight...
out watching because you know how it is when you're watching with people sometimes. But I don't know. It was a good fight. I think Borralho though is.
I got So it was a unanimous decision victory.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I saw like I thought it was like close. Like somewhat close. Like that he Borralho. Round 1 and 3, like those are easy like wins for him. So I'm a fan of this guy too though. Like I think he's in this, obviously a win like this helps a lot. So there's another dude I'm keeping my eye out for.
Wouldn't mind in the future. Not yet, but in the future. Sad to see that Bo Nickel is out of his debut, by the way. That stinks. Heal up, Bo. But I was going to say him versus Bo Nickel would be an interesting fight somewhere down the line.
Dude, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Wrestling versus jiu-jitsu. Love those types of fights. Remember when Ben Askren fought Damian Maia?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was a fun fight. Like, that's one of the most underrated fight night main events of the past few years, man.
Ben had that one until he didn't.
Yeah, that was basically the shortest great breakdown I've ever... That was a great breakdown, honestly. You're right. Ben was doing well until he wasn't. You know, anybody who hasn't seen that fight should definitely watch it. It was a fun one. Anybody who likes good grappling will enjoy that fight. But a couple more that I wanted to touch on real quick. Shout out to Oezdemir and Nikita Krylov for just putting on a show while they did. You know, Krylov
oh my God,
clearly won it with the control time, but on the feet, man, that was a fucking war. I mean, they were both like hitting each other.
Oh yeah, dude,
shots.
I was all about Oezdemir knockout.
Yeah, me too. I thought Volkan was gonna win.
Yeah,
it seemed like it was, and at first, man, it seemed like he was like because they were coming out swinging, dude. That was crazy right off the bat.
I mean, dude, good for Krylov, dude. That kind of grappling ability at 205, like man, that can take him places. So.
Yeah, man, he's done this to like a lot of guys like that too. I remember when he did that to Johnny Walker. because everybody thought Johnny Walker was gonna knock his ass out too, and then he just took him down, beat him up.
Lightweight. I feel like not light heavyweight has always felt like that division that just changes like on a dime, like so like it's such a crazy like shuffle within that division and the rankings and stuff. Yeah. So like Krylov, I feel like this is a guy like he just got the before this fight, who was it? It was Volk? No.
I'll look it up real quick. Don't worry. I'm
blanking on who the last fight was.
Hold up. You talk Krylov?
Yeah, Krylov.
Okay. I'm gonna find that out in like 1 second.
It was
right there now. That's right. He knocked out Gustafsson.
Damn,
I forgot about that. I was such a
me too.
I wish that fight didn't happen, man. That was rough.
But I remember that. Yeah, like all right, you take that, and then now you get like all of a sudden like this is a contender in light heavyweight. Like maybe like perhaps like maybe just maybe one day you're seeing him like taking on Yuri for the title.
God, wouldn't that be something? He's had like a similar type of career to Oliveira where he's like won some, lost some, won some, lost some.
Yeah.
He's won 2 straight now. Before his last loss was in March versus Paul Craig, got triangled. And then before that he lost to Magomed on Goliath, which obviously is like that's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And then before that was the Johnny Walker fight, so yeah. And then before that he lost to Glover Teixeira. So he's fighting legit dudes and he's only losing to the best. I think he's gonna be moving up, that's for sure. I mean, we can kind of take a little look at the rankings. So Volkan was number 8, and number 7 is Dominic Reyes, and he's coming off losses. So I have a feeling that Nikita Krylov is going to be number 7 when the rankings come out.
Yeah,
I think he called out. Did he call out Anthony Smith? Am I tripping? I feel like he called out Anthony Smith.
I feel like every up and coming light heavyweight calls out Anthony Smith.
Well, he's not even really up and coming. Like he's been around for like a minute.
Oh yeah, I mean in the sense like getting to that title scene, that title picture.
This is kind of funny. So Nikita Krylov calls out Anthony Smith, but only if he's not scared. Oh, I love that. That's just drawing that little dig there at the end.
Yeah.
That's the way to get him to accept the fight.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
That was smart. Smart move by Krylov. Not the first guy I'd think of when it comes to marketing. So I was pretty impressive. So good win for him. Hopefully he gets that Anthony Smith fight. I like that. I like that little dig there at the end. That was cool.
Yeah.
I like that. But last fight I wanted to talk about was one of the first fights of the night, and we've talked this dude up on the show before, and I'm going to do it again. Muhammad Mokaev, dude. And Malcolm Gordon ain't no slouch, dude. He's a good wrestler himself. That's why I was really excited for this coming in, because this was going to be a big test. And Malcolm did put up a decent fight, but Mokaev just blew him out of the water with the armbar and like his jiu-jitsu, just everything. Like, dude, this guy is so good. Like, I can't even like get enough of it. I don't know if Gordon was ranked. I feel like we might have talked about this, honestly. I don't think he was. Yeah, no, he's not. But I want to see Mokaev fight someone ranked. Like, we got to stop with these prospects. He's proven that he's worlds better than a lot of these guys. Because Malcolm Gordon is a fighter who I like a lot. I think he's a really good fighter, and I think he's another guy who can be in the top 10 in the flyweight division someday. And Muhammad Mokaev, especially like, towards the end of the fight, like when he finished him, just seemed like didn't even belong there in there with him. And yeah, would you agree? I mean, do you think he's earned a fight against someone who's ranked at this point?
People are starting to take like notice too. Like,
it's about time. I mean, like, the guy's earning it at this point. I think he's won this is his 3rd or 4th fight in the UFC at this point. About to figure it out. He's 8-0. That's crazy that he's only 8-0. For an 8-0 fighter, he is a lot better than you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
He's won 3 fights in the UFC. First round guillotine, decision win, and then the armbar in round 3 in this one. So, he's done pretty well. And even his, we've talked about this with Khabib and like other like Russian fighters and stuff. I think he actually comes a little bit from the UK more than, he fights out of England actually, but he is like obviously from, those regions. He's fought like some dudes, like he's fought 7-1 guy, 5-1, 9-4. That's not that bad. Like usually you see like padded records with these undefeated guys, but Mokaev seems to have earned his merit, and in this one, he's just proven it even more. And yeah, there's not really much more to say. He did pretty much what we expected him to do.
Yeah.
Right. So, another great win for Mokaev, and he's just going to be moving onward and upward. I think you guys got to keep your eye on Mokaev because he's going to be around for a long time, hopefully. And one last thing, I think, before we go, it's a little bit more fun. We were thinking about this one because obviously this fight week we have seen a lot more of our little buddy Hasbulla. And I figured one little fun segment we could have here at the end was to pick some fantasy fights for Hasbulla because he was signed by the UFC. I don't know if it was to fight. I think it was more to promote apparel.
To sell merchandise.
But what if Hasbulla was to get into some fights? And I did a little thinking, and I have a couple funny ones. One of them.
Yeah, we need to hear this, dude.
One of them I had in mind because it's
you're the man when it comes to making booking fights and whatnot on a show. This is gonna be your this is gonna be your biggest one yet.
Well, there's a few options because there's nobody in. The first things I thought of, I was like maybe Henry Cejudo, but then I was like I don't think Henry would take that fight.
No, yeah. I think Henry's got a bunch of other things on his plate right now.
Yeah, I don't think Hasbulla would be a good matchup for him personally. But then, I thought about it more. We're getting towards Halloween. The first guy that I had in my mind, I think a fight no holds bars between Hasbulla and Chucky would be a pretty interesting one.
No holds bars. So you're telling me Chucky can bring weapons?
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Chucky don't know Sambo. Chucky doesn't know that Sambo, dude. Hasbulla's gonna have. You gotta think about it. Who does Chucky have in his corner? He kills everybody around him.
Yeah.
Hasbulla, he's gonna have Habib, Islam, Javier Mendez. Like he's gonna have the power team in his corner.
Just like Islam had in his corner, like Hasbulla's gonna have that same power too. So.
Well, because I think of Chucky's fighting style, it's very like he comes forward a lot. And I think that he's going to be advancing and taking the center. And I think Hasbulla is going to be able to take advantage of that.
He definitely does come forward a lot.
But you see, like, if he does that, though, Hasbulla, I think he's probably got some good judo. I think that he could hip toss him right off, like, using his momentum. That'd be a pretty interesting
one.
And
then on, a little full mount and then some elbows maybe.
Get him in, like, the crucifix. Just start elbowing his plastic face.
Just pry the knife out of his hand.
I think maybe
throw it out. It's like
I would pick Hasbulla in that fight personally. I think Hasbulla will win that by submission, TKO, some finish. I think he'd finish Chucky personally. It would be an Islam type of fight. I think just pure strength, strength. He's gonna out wrestle Chucky. Whatever he needs to do, he's gonna take that knife right out of Chucky's hand. Throw it out the octagon. And he's gonna beat him with his bare hands.
Bare hands, like a real man, like a real man boy.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's some matchup. I had another human one was Peter Dinklage. I thought that would be a pretty interesting one. I think Peter might give him some problems though. Peter's a bigger little person. I don't want to like offend anybody. Yeah. But I think Peter's got some reach and probably some strength on him. But I don't know. Does Peter know that Sambo though? Like it all comes back down to that. Like I think that Peter though, he was on Game of Thrones, which I just started watching today. Good for. I'm on episode 1. Maybe I'll give some updates as I get on in the show.
Corners really matter here. So like, who are you thinking is in the corner of Dinklage?
Well, probably some pretty like bad dudes from Game of Thrones. Probably some knights, if we're being real. Some bad motherfuckers.
This would be,
I don't know, man. That's a tougher fight for Hasbulla, if you ask me.
Yeah, dude. We're not trying to see Hasbulla lose.
Do you think Papa Smurf would beat Hasbulla in a fight?
Oh, Papa Smurf. Thing about that is, if Hasbulla injures him so badly, like, are we so sure that Hasbulla isn't gonna turn to a Smurf himself after this fight?
Fuck, if Papa Smurf turned him blue.
In which case, Papa Smurf would be the one who wins at the end of the day.
We might have to do like a Grand Prix of sorts.
Just set like our bracket.
Maybe one day like we'll just make this could be a funny video idea at some point. Maybe we'll create all these guys in UFC 4 and do like a grand, because they have that option. You could do a tournament. Maybe we might have to look into that. Stay tuned, everybody. That might come at some point randomly. But, you know, Hasbulla, he's got a lot of fights that we could have. You know, what's the character? It's Vern Troyer who plays
there's gotta be one fight on his contract.
I don't know, man. With all these matchups we're talking about, you might be able to give him like a 4 or 5 fight contract. I'm trying to find another guy. I just don't want to. I forgot his name. It's there's like too much. I'm trying to find the name.
You know, whoever's fighting Hasbulla, like that person wants to get their name out there too.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I don't know. Some of these guys are already famous. Like, I mean, I think Papa's. I don't know. I think
at least within the MMA realm. What's the fighting realm?
Dude, what's the name? I'm like actually like blanking here. What's the name of the little guy in Austin Powers? Not Dr. Evil, like his little buddy that he also plays. Like, or no, it's Vern Troyer. It's Vern Troyer who plays him. Oh fuck! What the hell is his name? It's gonna kill me, dude. I'm gonna have to find it. Let's see. Mini-Me! That's what it's Mini-Me! Oh my god, how did I forget that? So what do you think? I don't know, I think Mini-Me would be a threat to Hasbulla too, because I think Mini-Me would be coming in with like a gun at that point.
Mini-Me probably wouldn't even make it into the arena, honestly.
Really?
I don't know how much I think it would be just very like off-putting and stuff. But I mean, you know, as long as he makes it clear that he's got to fight, and you know, then they should be able to let him in fine. But that dude is, you know, you talk about Chucky and all that. Chucky just doesn't roll with anybody. So, you know.
Maybe if there's not a Grand Prix, we could do like a battle royale. Each give him like one choice of weapon. Like, just this is really evolved. It's past MMA at this point. But
yeah, dude.
How about this? You know, hopefully some people enjoy this part of the video. You know, if you guys did, let us know in the comments who you want to see Hasbulla fight.
Seriously. Dude.
So I think we'll end it with that. You know, next week we got a pretty fun card too. Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen in is it Orlando? UFC? I don't know. I feel like that's like actually somewhere. I'm gonna look that up.
I like the sound of that fight.
Oh yeah, dude. Do you have any early leans on that one? I could look up the odds.
Man, not really right now. I just think it's really close.
Oh, no, this is from the Apex. I don't know why I thought this one was in Orlando.
But I would assume Arnold Allen's the underdog.
Let's find out. DraftKings. I'm about to find it. It's right here. It looks like it's, wow, very close. Okay. Calvin Kattar is a plus 105 underdog, and Arnold Allen is a minus 125 favorite.
Oh, okay. I mean, it is pretty close.
Yeah, and obviously we have some time too before it
That's
odds
pretty
definitely change.
I think I more so want to like look for myself, see how those odds change throughout the week, and then mention it on the show.
Yeah.
But,
even on like the Twitter or something if you want to like put it up there, and I'll like post it on Instagram if you want.
Cool.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting one. I can't wait for this card next week. Actually, that main event is gonna be fun, and it means a lot for that division. Because you know we were just talking about it with featherweight. Like, there's a kind of a lack of contenders, and I think if Arnold Allen could get a win, he puts himself right there at the top. So it's gonna be a fun one. We can't wait to break it down for y'all.
Hasbulla versus Weeman.
Oh.
Easy guess.